Is Aisha the strongest Winx? All right, here we have our dancing queen broken down into combat and usefulness outside of battle. Aisha's powers are interesting because before she was just the fairy of waves, she was actually the fairy of fluids and water molecules. We see this most evidently in her Morphix powers. The fluid that she creates is almost like this Play-Doh or glue, and it can be molded into any shape that she wants. And this allows her to create weapons. While most of the other girls strictly are magic based, like Tecna, she uses gadgets and tools and constructs to aid her in battle. She had swords, shields, lances, and there's a physicality to her fighting style that makes it really fun to watch and very useful. I also don't think this is strictly offensive because Aisha is always willing to put up a shield when she needs to. She can even use the shield to absorb the power from somebody's attack and then throw it back at them. Aisha is the team's muscle, and honestly, I feel like this was such a missing component in season 1. She has a physicality that none of the girls can quite rival. Jumps, flips, punches, kicks. She can even use her powers to ride on a surfboard. It's just like a little something extra. Like, she's different. I also find that Aisha is able to take a lot of hits and get back up. She's arguably the sturdiest of the girls when it comes to taking damage in battle, and it makes her incredibly dependable. But of course, she also has the elemental component to her powers. We see the water portion of her powers more in later seasons, and she has a lot of ocean-themed spells in her catalog. I think what's interesting about Aisha is that if she wants to use her fist, she can. If she wants to use a weapon, she can. If she wants to use an elemental power, she can. She is very varied in battle, and she's very good at not only having offensive power, but also defensive power. So now that we know Aisha balances the team through physical strength and ingenuity in battle, how is she useful outside of battle? Aisha's Morphix powers allow her to create a lot of tools. Oculars, a pulley and crane, shield walls, surfboards. She even sealed doorways with her Morphix powers so nobody can get in. 40th member of the group, and her athleticism carries her not only in battle, but out of battle. She's the first girl who knows how to ride a hover bike, she surfs, she swims, roller skates, dances, she can climb mountains. These are practical skills. Is a classically trained princess, and that means that she is adept in diplomacy. It allows her to lead her people with strength and determination. She also uses these skills casually, like when she convinced a police officer not to invest the girls. Aisha gives practical advice. While Stella's advice may be too harsh and Flora's advice may be too poetic, Aisha gives practical advice to the girls, which allows them to solve problems a little bit more efficiently. She keeps things real without being as mean as Stella, and I think that this is very underrated in terms of her characterization. So is Aisha the strongest Winx? She certainly has a wide repertoire of skills. She's probably up there in terms of usefulness, like Tecna. But is she the strongest? That depends on my ranking, which I will do after Bloom.